Are you ready? Yeah, ready or not, it's going to happen now, so what to do? So, Happy New Year once again. And I think these times when we kind of go from one thing to another, moving forward from one year to the next, from one birthday to the next, whatever it might be, there's always a good time to sort of take stock of our meditation practice, our spiritual practice, and all of these kind of things, and ask ourselves if maybe we can do something better. How can we improve? How can we kind of add an extra kind of what is it the right term? The extra kind of effort or extra factor for that path to work better or more powerfully. So it's always a good way of thinking about things. It's easy to become a bit complacent. It's kind of the human mind. Yeah, it's easy to kind of just follow the same old routine. But actually, we need to investigate a little bit to figure out what is going on. If you are stagnating a bit, why might that be? There's always a reason. The Buddha promised that if you practice in the right way, there will be results. If there are no results, it's because maybe you are missing something here. So a good place to start is always to kind of look at the world today, yeah? Because when you go into the new year, you kind of think, what is the year ahead going to be like? And, this is what a lot of people do if you read the newspapers or something like that. They will kind of look at the past year and summarize it and tell you what's ahead. And sometimes when you look ahead at the world, you think, do I want to be part of this, or do I want to kind of, step aside from the world a little bit and kind of do my own thing? It doesn't look kind of very nice right now. The world is kind of yucky. There's all kind of things going on, politics and wars and climate stuff and all kind of things. And sometimes you wonder what the future holds. But actually, that is a great opportunity right there. Yeah, every kind of problem has an opportunity. You know that? Anyone here been to business school? Yeah, every problem has a potential opportunity to it. That's what they tell you in business school. Yeah, if you get an MBA or whatever, that's what they say, and then they kind of turns it. But there's some truth to that, especially from a Dhamma point of view. I think more true in the Dhamma than it is in business, maybe. I don't know. I think in Dhamma it is really, really true. And the point is that if you see the problems of the world, it makes the spiritual path even more important. Because the spiritual path is exactly a way of withdrawing from that world. The spiritual path is a way of going beyond it. The spiritual path is a way of learning how to deal with those problems, not being kind of bowled over emotionally or whatever by all these issues in the world. Having a stability inside, a sense of independence from all of these kind of things. Isn't that great to be independent? Is that a wonderful thing? Doesn't everyone want to be independent? You can just see the world goes wrong. The world goes to the dogs. Let the dogs have it. Right? That's kind of what you think. And it's okay, yeah, because you have something else. You have something more powerful. And so the idea here is that from a Buddhist point of view, the dangers in the world, the problems in the world are definitely an opportunity. It changes your focus. It turns your mind in a different direction. And it allows you to find something far more meaningful than the world could ever give you in the first place. So take these things, don't kind of sorrow too much, instead see them as opportunities, and then you're going to be on the right track. So this is the first thing to remember, and when you remember that, then it kind of already, it lifts your mood a little bit straight away. The other thing to remember, sometimes I think one of the problems on the spiritual path is that, especially if you feel you are stagnating a bit, I've been meditating for so many years, where are the lights? Where are these things that I want to have? Everyone talks about lights all the time in meditation. Forget those blooming lights. Just enjoy what you have. That's what I say. But everyone, it's very easy to get a bit frustrated or disappointed or feeling we haven't done enough progress. And sometimes we think that, well, maybe that's the way it has to be in the future. But it doesn't. This is a really important point. Don't get stuck in those things. As long as we can go beyond some of those bad habits and we can think about things in a new way, we can make remarkable progress. Every one of us here, every person here can become a better version of ourselves. It's not that you become a completely different person, but you become kind of the best version of yourself sometimes by practicing the spiritual path. And I sometimes talked about this amazing experiment that I read about a while ago, and that was about people's ability to foresee the future, and how incredibly bad they were at foreseeing the future. And so what these experimenters found out, and you may have heard this before, but what they found out was that when people looked into the past, and they were told, okay, kind of look at your past 10 years, from 10 years ago until now, and what has happened in those 10 years? Can you see kind of your change and how you have things are kind of altered, and you are now a different person from when you were then? Maybe you are a better person, but maybe you have changed in other ways. And they could say, yeah, I can see the change. It went like this, and it went that way a little bit, and it went kind of down and up again. And they could see a lot of change in their lives, and how their personality sometimes was dramatically altered as a consequence of those changes. But then they were asked exactly the same thing for the future. So what about the future? Can you see change for the next 10? If you look 10 years from now, 2035, or 2036 now actually, it takes a while to get used to the new year, 2036, what will you be like then? And they weren't able to see the same kind of change. They weren't able to see that actually, they could do all of these turns and go in all of these different directions. All they could see was basically it's going to be me, but maybe I will have, I don't know, maybe, I will be a little bit better in this area or whatever. But it was basically themselves with tiny kind of improvement in certain areas, or maybe even decline in certain areas. And so we don't understand the potential for change. It is great. There's a massive potential there. If you get the Dhamma right, get the practice right, you can become the same person in a deep sense, but a far, far better version of that person it is possible to become. One who is truly compassionate, someone who is truly loving, someone who is truly caring for the world, for everything around you. Someone who maybe even has a lot of bliss and happiness in meditation. All of these things are available on this path. And all you have to do is to kind of move your mind in the right way. And as you do that, these things will happen. So how do we make this happen? How can we become far better people than we are now already? And a lot of it is about the choices that we make. We have to make good choices. Avoid the bad ones, do the good ones instead. And when I say choices, what I mean, there's many levels of choices. You have the choices that are very kind of large choices in life. Where am I going to live? Who is going to be my boyfriend or girlfriend? What kind of job am I going to have? What Buddhist society should I go to? Okay, this one. Just no, I'm just messing around. Whatever, up to you. So all of these kind of big choices, right, which are kind of, your whole life takes a certain direction when you make those big choices. But what I'm really referring to here, they are certainly important, but maybe more important, even more important, are the choices you make all the time, throughout the day. The little things. When you meet somebody, how you speak with them. And sometimes the way we speak to people, it is as if we're not making a choice at all. It just comes out of our mouth, and before it's out, it takes what happened there? It came out of my mouth so fast, and you have no real sense that you even made a choice, but you did make a choice. It just happened so fast you can't even see it. And these are the kind of choices that are really important, because this is where your morality, your ethics, your kindness, your compassion, all of these things are developed. Every little thing, every little word that comes out of your mouth, every little action that you do, every little movement, every thought that you have actually matters. Imagine to have enough mindfulness that you're able to actually check every thought. I'm about to think that, okay, let me go a different direction instead. Isn't that a nice idea? And very often you can do that. You may think that sounds impossible, but you can, because you become aware that your mind is kind of heading in a certain direction. Sometimes the momentum is very strong. It's like a freight train moving forward at a very fast speed. So the momentum is very strong. The mind is certain going. But then you can actually check that momentum of the mind, and you can hold it back, and you can wait, and you can allow a different solution to arise instead. And so this is the first idea for how to make better choices. One of the really important things, and as you may be aware already, obviously, you need more mindfulness. You need to have that awareness around what you're doing. And when you slow down a little bit, when you go a little bit more gently and softly in life, you don't react so quickly. Instead of reacting, you respond. It's a very nice way of thinking about how we deal with all situations in life. Don't react, respond. Reaction is this habit, it's automatic. Response is like, okay, reflect. How do I respond to the situation? Two very different ways of dealing with any kind of situation. So be a responsive person, not a reactive person. And to do that, you need a bit of mindfulness. And one way to gain that mindfulness, again, slow down. Don't act so fast. Wait, give the mind time to sort of consider the situation. So when you kind of slow down, you think, okay, I want to do this. This is kind of what my mind impulse, or I feel compelled to act in a certain way, but maybe that's wrong. Let me hold on a second. Wait, is there a better solution here? And the moment you stop, what tends to happen is that something inside of you tells you what is the right way forward. You have enough knowledge of Dhamma, you have enough knowledge of what it means to be ethical and moral person. It's all there deep inside of you. You just need to give it time to arise. You need to give it time to overcome all the habits, all the compelling thoughts and ideas that kind of force you to do certain things. Don't go with those compulsions. Instead, wait, allow the Dhamma to arise, and then follow the Dhamma. This is kind of the ideal way of doing things. So you wait, you slow down a little bit. So how can we do that? Because it sounds easy to say, but in reality, not always easy, right? So how can we do that? And I'll give you some incredibly simple tips. They are so simple that you're probably not doing them. Even though you already know you should be doing them, right? You know you should be doing it, but you're maybe not doing it already. And one of the kind of biggest problems in life is how distracting the modern world is, especially mobile phones and internet and these kind of things. And so be very careful how you use your mobile phone. This is kind of very, very simple thing. But if you use your mobile phone more wisely, and I'll tell you in a second how to use it wisely. I don't really know because I haven't got a mobile phone. But anyway, I'll give you. I see other people. I think, whoa, I've got to do something here. Okay, so I have some idea. So how can we use the mobile phone more wisely? Okay, so I'll give you a few hints. So number one, turn off the mobile phone, lock it completely, give it to someone else if you can't control yourself, to hide away after a certain time in the evening. 8 p.m. I'm not going to check my mobile phone at all after 8 p.m. I'm going to give it to the dog to eat. He can swallow the mobile phone, and hopefully it's out again by tomorrow morning. No, I'm messing around. But you know what I mean. Something was very, very hard to get hold of that mobile phone, right? And then in the morning, the same thing again. I will not use it until a certain time in the morning. I don't know, 7, 8, 9, whatever. I don't know what your life is like. And so you have that kind of gap. And the evening time is a very important time. It's very important because it's a time where you want to relax, you want to be at ease, you want to have a sense of metta, because if you have metta, kindness and love, when you fall asleep, you're going to sleep really well. And if you sleep well, you're going to wake up in the morning full of energy straight away, so you can get that mobile phone right away. No, not that kind of energy. The energy which doesn't want to see the mobile phone. The energy of peace, the quiet kind of energy, the non-restless energy. So this is a very simple way. Most people don't do that. I hear most people, the last thing they do at night, check the mobile phone. The first thing they do when they wake up is check the mobile phone. It's a very bad idea. And it's kind of a very addictive thing, right? It's incredibly addictive when you think about it like that. So don't fall for these stupid addictions. This is number one. Number two, when you go for a walk somewhere, I was just in Singapore. I came back from Singapore a few days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, and I went for some walks in the city. And I was horrified. Everyone was walking with a mobile phone everywhere. I don't know what they're doing on that mobile phone, but everyone was glued to the mobile phone as they were walking around. And I've seen similar things here in Perth, by the way, on previous occasions. I wasn't too surprised when I saw it. It was very rare, and I kind of like to walk. I don't have a mobile phone with me at all, but so I walk around and I kind of see, can I get contact with anyone? Really hard, right? No one makes eye contact. Everyone is kind of in their own little world. And so I said to myself, okay, I'm going to just kind of do probably what is really taboo here in Singapore, because no one says anything to each other. I'm going to start saying hello to people. Yeah. And that was really good fun. I really enjoyed that. I was walking around and I started saying hello. And people sort of, what's going on? Who is this weirdo over here saying hello to me? And sometimes they would just turn away. They wouldn't respond. But other times they would respond, and you can see they were almost delighted. Yeah, it's like a human touch. Someone saying hello, but in a nice kind of way. I try not to do it in a harsh way, obviously. Say it in a nice way, and they go, oh, hello. And some people really engage, right? And, oh, hello, good morning. Yeah, nice to meet you. And they kind of go Anjali and all these kind of things. And so it was actually very interesting. And sometimes I would see people who were really kind of in a bad way, sleeping under a bridge or something. And I was there during Christmas. And so I would go to this poor person sitting on the bridge, say, Merry Christmas to them. And they would look up, oh, Merry Christmas. Yeah, it's nice. And I feel in the modern world we're losing so much of that human connection. We need human connection. It's so important. We should bring it back again into our society. So when you go for a walk, leave the mobile phone at home. Don't take it with you, especially when you go in nature. Just enjoy the walk. Observe what is happening around you. Observe how the rest of the world is completely engulfed, engrossed in the mobile phone, whereas you have let it go. Yay, me! Yeah, be happy about yourself, not kind of a big ego, but feeling good about yourself because you are moving in the right direction, in a positive way. What a marvelous thing that is. When you have a meal with your family, no mobile phones, right? Tell your children, or maybe if you are the children and your parents are naughty, tell your parents, Dad, Mom, I demand no more mobile phones at the dinner table. It's bad for the family. That's the time when you're supposed to meet, have a chat, get to know each other. Shouldn't have any mobile phones at that time. So these are some of the ideas. Yeah, already, if you do that much, you will find there's more space in your mind. It will open up something inside of you, which gives you greater opportunity to respond rather than react in the world. Yeah, and you will feel that throughout the day if you live in this way, and you do a bit of meditation on the top of that, that it will change kind of your outlook, the way you're able to deal with the situations in life. So simple, yeah, but most people don't do this, and that is why simple things can also be very, very useful. So do this. This is kind of the beginning of the thing. And but one of the things that I should really talk about, even before I talk about the mobile phone, which is kind of even more fundamental in a certain way. I'll come back a little bit more to the mobile phone later on, is the importance in the spiritual path of the idea of being around the right kind of people. When I was in Singapore, I was just doing a long retreat, 9-day retreat, and we were looking at the sutta called the Mahamangala Sutta. And those of you with a Buddhist background, and those of you who don't have, but who are a bit knowledgeable about the Dhamma, you will know about the Mahamangala Sutta. Mahamangala means like great blessings. And those is a kind of a series of 11 blessings, one after the others, like each one is a verse. And the first of these verses goes as follows. Asevana cha balanang panditanang cha sevana puja cha pujaniyanang etang mangalamuttamang. Pretty good, right? So what does it mean? Some of you know what it means already, but so what it means is that you should not associate with fools. You should associate with the wise. You should have respect for that which is worthy of respect. This is the greatest blessing. Yeah, this is where it starts out. This is the beginning of the whole thing. And then it goes through all other things and it ends up kind of with enlightenment at the end. But this is where it starts. That's always incredibly interesting, that it starts with the idea of who you should hang out with, who you should associate with, who should be your friends, who you should deal with in this life. It's incredibly interesting. And because one of the things that the Buddha says, please come in here, please enter here. Ooh, okay. This is now, there's a chance to practice Dhamma. Yeah, this is kind of the good thing about these things. So just do it in the right way. Yeah, okay. So probably people usually have some problems, and then they kind of have some suffering in their life, and then these things happen. So, yeah, okay. Being escorted away. Okay, that's good. Okay, let's carry on. Are you ready to carry on? Yeah? Okay, good. It's a little intermezzo. That's kind of always makes things interesting here. So I was just saying about the importance of following the good kind of people, not following the fools, but following the wise ones. And so here, this person, he had an opportunity to hear some wisdom, but he left too early, so it was unfortunate. Maybe next time he will come back. If we treat him nicely, maybe he will come back again in the future. But it matters enormously. And one of the things that you find in the suttas, in the word of the Buddha, he talks about the wise and the fools. And he talks about the danger of following the fools. And he says specifically that all the dangers in the world, all the kind of upheavals in the world, all the calamities in the world, they are a result of fools, not of wise people. Yeah, so if there are problems in your life, or problems in birth, or problems in politics, or problems in war, or whatever, it comes from the fools in the world. That's where the problems arise. And your own life also tends to get very problematic. Yeah, if you hang out with fools all the time, it's the same kind of issue. So for that reason, know the danger of fools, understand that it leads you in the wrong way. And of course the wise people is exactly the opposite. That leads to all the happiness in the world. The wise people lead you to do the good thing, and the wise people ultimately, if you hang out with them long enough, leads you all the way to awakening itself. And so this is kind of what wisdom does. Wisdom leads you to the best things in the world, and foolishness leads you in the exact opposite direction. And so this is why the company that we choose in life, where we go, whether we go to the Buddha society or what we do, who we have as our friends, who we work with, all of these kind of things actually matter. What are the influences on our life matters enormously. So this is one of the things I recommend you. One of the things I recommend you is to be very careful with these things. Who do you hang out with? Who do you kind of take as your friends? Who do you make as a important part of your life? This actually matters a lot. So think about this in a new year. Can you spend more quality time with wise people? And then actually you will find that it actually helps you life to take a different direction as a consequence. So how do you know who is wise? How do you know who is foolish? And the Buddha gives, of course, advice. He gives advice on everything. One of the things I like to say is that everything is found in the suttas. If you want to find the answer to any question at all, pretty much, it's there in the suttas. How do you recognize the fools? By the way they speak, act, and think. Kind of obvious, because that's the external conduct is really how we see these things. They speak in ways that are unskillful, in ways that are unwholesome, in ways that are immoral. They act like that, they think like that. And so that's why they are problematic. The wise people in the world are the ones who speak with wholesomeness, in a moral way. They act morally. They think moral, good thoughts. They tend to see the good in other people, all of these kind of things. So it's quite simple, really, to decide who are the fools in the world and who are the wise people. Of course, you can argue that maybe you don't know all the way. It's very hard to know whether someone is fully enlightened or not. But you have some idea of measure of where you should go. And in the long run, you will be able to kind of see fairly clearly who are the really wise people in the world and who are the foolish people in the world. Then you can make much better choices. So move towards the wise people. So to give you another idea around this, there was a little sutta I was reading out to the monks at the monastery on Wednesday. We have a Dhamma talk every Wednesday. Ajahn Brahm was here at Dhammaloka. You got Ajahn Brahm. The monks had to deal with me. That's pretty. You see how lucky you are. That's pretty good deal, right? So you get the kind of wow, very lucky. So I thought I was going to say something about the sutta that I was reading because it was kind of interesting. It had some details to it that you may not normally hear. And so this sutta was talking about 7 things that lead to improvement in your life. Or it leads to the long-lasting longevity of the Dhamma in the world. 7 things lead to the longevity of the Dhamma, and if you don't do them, then obviously it leads to the short life of the Dhamma in comparison. So what are these 7 things? And some of them are quite obvious, but all of them are around the idea of respect and reverence, or respect and deference. So respect means that you kind of look up to something in a certain way because of the good qualities, and so you listen a bit more. Deference means that you kind of take after what they say. You follow good advice and these kind of things. Respect and deference. So what are these 7 things that you have respect and deference for? So the first ones will not be very surprising. So the first one is the Buddha. So do you like to hang around the Buddha? Where is the Buddha? Is that the Buddha? Not really. It's kind of. I think this is a fake Buddha. There's no very unexpressive Buddha, but it represents the Buddha, and that's kind of the nice thing about this Buddha. It represents the Buddha. It represents some of the qualities of the Buddha, and that's why we bow down to these images, because they represent something. And then by bowing down to them, we're kind of growing those qualities within ourselves. But you can still hang around the Buddha. And the way to hang out with the Buddha is the second thing that you should have respect and deference for, which is the Dhamma, the teachings of the Buddha. When you read these teachings, when you hear them here at the Buddha Society, it's like the Buddha is talking to you. These are the real teachings of the Buddha. You may think that when you come here, you hear Ajahn Brahm talk, and that is a teaching. Or you may think that you hear a teaching from some other monk or nun. But the suttas, the word, the Dhamma teachings that are given when we read the suttas are the teachings of the Buddha in exactly the same way. And sometimes you need to kind of live, kind of make them come alive, to make them more real. So remember, when the Buddha gave these teachings 2,500 years ago, he wasn't just teaching the people there and then. He was also teaching people in the future. The Buddha from the very beginning had this idea that he was teaching, he was setting in motion the wheel of the Dhamma for future generations and future cultures. And so this wheel sort of rolls out into the world, rolls out from culture to culture, from era to era. And so the Buddha had this grand vision, this big kind of vision about what the Dhamma was supposed to do in the world. So we are also the disciples of that Buddha, in the same way. So think about that when you read the suttas. Think about that when someone actually teaches from the suttas. Now it is the Buddha talking to you. You are in the presence of this enlightened mind, because these are the words of someone who is enlightened, someone who has seen the deepest truth of what it means to be a human being. Someone who has developed compassion and kindness to the very highest level. This is what the Buddha is. It's something extraordinary in the world. And to be in the presence of the greatest spiritual master in human history is something extraordinary. You, every one of us, little me, can be the disciple of this awe-inspiring person. Isn't that great? Isn't that kind of something astonishing? And it's something we don't often take on board properly. But that is what it means to read the suttas, read the word of the Buddha, and to engage with that word, those words, in the right way. And what I'm talking about right now is actually one of those suttas. And then so you respect the Buddha, have deference to the Buddha, to the suttas, and then the Sangha. The Sangha means usually the Aryan Sangha, the noble Sangha. And usually they are represented by monastics. Sometimes you find lay people who also are part of the Aryans, but usually it's represented by the monastics, because usually it is among the monastics that the spiritual path is taken the furthest. Not always, it depends on where you are, but usually. And that's why that's kind of representation there. Especially those members of the Sangha who really are special. You can feel that they have some special things to add. Like my favorite monk, It's not me, you know. My favorite monk is Ajahn Brahm. Yeah, Ajahn Brahm is kind of, for me, always been my kind of hero. That's why I came to Perth. I came all the way to Australia just to come meet Ajahn Brahm. Got nothing to do with Australia. I apologize. I don't mean to say anything bad about Australia. I think Australia is great. But I actually came here for Ajahn Brahm. That's why I came here. And so, anyway, there you are. It's a pretty good choice anyway, right? You would agree with that? It wasn't a bad idea. And so once you respect these three things, then the fourth one you're supposed to respect is the training. Because the training that comes out of the Dhamma, out of the teachings of the Buddha, that is what leads you to become an Aryan, a noble person, the person who is part of the Sangha, if you like. You become one of these enlightened people. So you have great respect for that training. The fifth one, and this is kind of where it gets really interesting. Are you ready for the fifth one? The fifth one is samadhi, stillness, deep meditation. This is kind of really important. If you don't respect and have deference or reverence for deep meditation, you're actually contributing to the short life of Buddhism, of the Dhamma. And this is kind of really interesting because you will find that in many parts of the Buddhist world, that is kind of what is happening here. There's too much focus. I mean, it's good to focus on other things in the Dhamma, but not at the exclusion of samadhi, because the samadhi is what actually brings the whole training together. Samadhi is the final factor of the Noble Eightfold Path. Samadhi is the culmination of practicing all of these factors. Samadhi contains within it all the other factors, and that's why it is kind of picked out in this way as something special, as a thing we should have reference and deference for. So samadhi. What is the sixth one? The sixth one is called appamada in Pali. This is going to be a little bit of a Pali course for you, so I hope you are ready to learn some Pali words. Pali is one of these ancient Indian languages, that the Buddha talks something like that. Appamada means something like heedfulness. Heedfulness means you are careful. It means you are diligent. It means that you keep on practicing in a smart way. You can see why that is important. Appamada is very similar to another famous Pali word called yoniso manasikara, which means like wise attention or wise application of the mind. These are very closely related to each other. So to be able to reach samadhi, to be able to practice the path properly, one of the most important factors is this idea of being diligent and being heedful, being careful in your practice. Now we come to the seventh factor. And this is really why I'm talking about this. This is the seventh factor. And this is kind of the most interesting one of all, in my opinion. So we had Buddha Dhamma Sangha. You had training. You had samadhi, the stillness of the mind. You had appamada, the heedfulness. All of those kind of make good sense. You can see why they would be there. But factor number 7 always baffled me. I remember reading the Sutta and thought, wow, surely here someone made a mistake. This kind of doesn't make any sense. Because the 7th factor is hospitality. It's like, straight away you think about hospitality, you think like going to a hotel or going to a bar, getting a drink or something like that. But that's obviously not what is meant, right? That cannot be what is meant here, because 5 precepts and all that. So it's not about drinking, or whatever. I know. So what is it? What does it mean? And what it means, I think, and the way it fits in with the rest of the suttas, is that we are hospitable towards those people in the world who have special spiritual qualities. We're hospitable to be those so that they can stay with us for a long time. We look after them so we don't lose them again in the future. There's a beautiful part in the famous Mahaparinibbana Sutta, which is the great sutta on the Buddha's passing away, where the Buddha says that the Dhamma will last a long time. The monks and everyone will grow in good qualities as long as you welcome the arahants to your country. You welcome the enlightened ones to your country, and when they come, you look after them. And so you're hospitable towards those people who lift every one of us up spiritually, because they have this incredibly ability to express the Dhamma through words, but also through the very action, through how they live their lives. So hospitality, it's a beautiful idea. So look after which all, and also I think it is about the Sangha as well. The Sangha is a monastic community that should live in harmony. We should be hospitable when there are monks and nuns who come from outside maybe and they want to stay with us for a while. It's also about that, because that creates a sense of harmony or whatever. But the primary reason, I think, is to enable those people who are really special to stay for a long time, to ensure that they will last for a long time. And I sometimes think about this, slightly selfish perhaps, but I often think, how can I make Ajahn Brahm last as long as possible? So, and it's true, I don't know about you, but I've known Ajahn Brahm now for, 31 years plus? This is how long I've been. I knew about him even before that, but I didn't really meet him until 31 years ago. And, he's one of these kind of, to my mind, one of these treasures in the world. This kind of person with very special qualities, very difficult to find. And so more and more I try to look out for how I can be of assistance. And so, if you have a chance to be of assistance to Ajahn Brahm, take the opportunity. Anyway, it's really good merit, you help Ajahn Brahm a little bit. It's a very positive thing, very nice thing to do. So regardless. So this is the idea of hospitality. And when you have that hospitality, you get to be around wise people because you invite them. Please come. Sometimes you can invite someone to your house, Actually, sometimes you can't because it's just too difficult to arrange, but you can come to the monastery, you can look after a little bit, you can support a little bit, you can bring maybe some nice food that, Ajahn Brahm likes. Maybe. I have to be careful what I say because sometimes these things kind of become kind of sort of backfire in a very strange way. But you know what I mean. And then you get this beautiful relationship with someone like Ajahn Brahm, who is very, very interesting and extraordinary person. And there are other monks and nuns as well who are developing really well and who have really good qualities. It's not just Ajahn Brahm. Ajahn Brahm is kind of exceptional, but there are others as well. And so this is one of those wonderful things that here in Perth we have this. Take this opportunity. You have a chance to be around the wise. You have a chance to get that basic support in your life that enables the whole path to work for you. Without the wise, when you are just surrounded with fools, it makes it very difficult. But the wiser the people are, the more this path kind of takes off by itself, and it just works. So this is number one. So make sure you hang around fewer fools and more wise people in your life. See if you can make a little bit of a shift. Don't do anything drastic. Don't throw people out of your life. Be compassionate to everyone, but just, make gentle shifts in your life and see what happens. Maybe you're already very wise in the way you are with other people. That's great, but most of us can probably do better. So that is point number one. The second point I wanted to make is how to, again, develop this idea of actually being more kind. It's hard to be kind all the time. It's hard to develop this. Once you have the input of the wise people, you are already on the right track. But how can we add something more about kindness? And this is where all the things I was talking about before, about mobile phones and going more slowly, all of that comes in. It allows the mindfulness to expand, which allows you to respond rather than react. This makes you already a more kinder person because that ability to respond actually allows you to do what is right rather than what is wrong. So already you are very much on the right track when you do that. But you want to take it a bit further. And one of the things that I would recommend all of you to do a little bit, do a little bit of metta meditation in your life. Metta is like love or kindness. Love and kindness mean largely the same thing. Love is maybe a bit more strong, but they are kind of similar kind of words. So metta is a kindness meditation or loving kindness meditation. Do a bit of that because it can have a very transforming effect on you. It's very simple, very easy to do. You can just be like a mantra, like a sentence that you repeat in your mind, like may all beings be well. And you can say that for 10 minutes, but you have to mean it. It has to come from your heart. And then as you do that, it can sometimes over time give rise to a transformation in your mind. And at certain times, you will feel a powerful sense of joy and happiness even if that kindness and that metta really comes up in your mind. Yeah, very, very powerful thing. And the great thing about that is that sometimes it can be hard. Even if you are mindful, it can be difficult to do the right thing. Yeah, you can sometimes mindfully do the wrong thing. Yeah, sometimes you think that something is right. You are mindful, but there's some deeper delusion in your mind. So yeah, I'm mindful. I need to tell this person off, and this has to be done. I will do it very mindfully and carefully. And actually you're getting it really kind of messed up because you don't really know what is. Still, there is some underlying problem there. Yeah. And so because of that, sometimes mindfulness isn't enough. And what we have to do then is to purify the mind at a deeper level. And that deeper kind of purification happens when you do things like metta meditation. You can do it few times a week. It doesn't have to be very long. 10 or 15 minutes is sometimes enough. Yeah, if you can do 20, even better. But just a little bit to get you going, maybe at the beginning of the day or at night before you go to bed, so you have a good night's rest and all of these kind of things. And then you build up a certain reserve inside of you of goodwill towards the world around you. And then when you have built up this kind of reserve of goodwill inside of you, especially in the morning, when you go out into the streets, you want to say hello to everyone. Yeah, you want to say good morning, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, whatever. Yeah, those bad things don't even come to your mind anymore. And gradually, that whole development of the mind within in this way starts to express itself in what you are like as a human being. The way you speak is different. You speak more gently. You speak more carefully. You become more sensitive to other people around you. You start to act in a different way. You actually want to help. You want to be of service to the world. This is one of those wonderful things, is to be of service. It's far better to be of service than it is to be served. Yeah, usually it depends a little bit on the circumstances, I suppose, but usually it is better. And I think if we, in the Buddhist community, we should all think of ourselves as being of service to each other. And when we are of service to each other, we build a very harmonious and beautiful community. Everyone coming from kindness, everyone acting from metta. Yeah, what can I do today to help the Buddhist society, the people around me? What little thing can I help? Okay, my job today is to talk, even though someone tried to stop me. So that is my service, right? I do this. I don't get any salary for this. And then I go back to the monastery, and then people come to the monastery every day. Lots of people. Meals on wheels, Ajahn Brahm calls it. Yeah, come into the monastery every day. And I'm amazed. Yeah, and this is kind of the mutual support we have between the monastic community and the lay community. It's a very, very beautiful thing that we have built up. And this was all laid down by the Buddha and laid down by the ancient Indians 2,500 years ago. A samana culture, a culture of ascetics and this relationship between householders and ascetics. So be of service in your life. Being of service is such a beautiful thing. Yeah, this is where you start to feel real meaning. Now you are contributing. And the greatest beneficiary of all that service that you're doing is you. You will eventually gain joy and happiness because of that service. You will eventually, if you go around saying good morning to the poor person under the bridge and kind of give them a little thing because they obviously seem desperate. If you do random acts of kindness and generosity in your life in this way, what will happen is that gradually, something inside of you grows. You become a more happy, contented, joyful person as a consequence. And then, eventually, when you come to Jhana Grove, when you do a meditation retreat, wherever it is, that benefit will really ripen. You close your eyes, you feel good about yourself, not in a kind of egocentric kind of way, but just a natural way. You know that you are a good person, so why shouldn't you feel good about yourself? There's nothing wrong with that. You feel good about yourself, the joy starts to bubble up, you start watching the breath, and it's so easy to watch the breath. Well, how come I've been fighting with the breath for so long? It's actually so easy. Why? Because your mind is ready. The mind is clear of the clutter, and you have the joy and happiness instead. And then from that, you gain kind of the deep samadhi and all of these kind of things. And then you can start practicing the metta in an even deeper way. Then when you do metta meditation, you will find that your mind kind of starts to expand. Your mind starts to encompass larger and larger areas until eventually there is no one in the whole universe that you do not have metta for. Yeah, it is this beautiful expansion of the mind. And then when you go back into society after that, you are not unable to do anything wrong. Then your kindness will be grounded in a deep experience of something that is very different from what you ever had before. Now you know what kindness is, and you become a real blessing for the world and a real blessing for yourself as a consequence. So these are my little words for you on the second day of the new year, just to wish you all Happy New Year in the Buddhist kind of way. So once again, Happy New Year, and if you wish now, we can take some questions and things. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Well done. Okay, great.
So my question when it comes to the Dharma, in particular when practicing the Dharma in life, once you've gone through those steps, is the outlook and attitude to have when it bubbles up, that wisdom that you talk about, and how to act on the Dharma, and how to bring that more into practice. So for example, with you, in that instance of just someone coming and walking in and you showing kindness to that person, even though that person was quite rude, and where do you find that faith and that confidence to practice that?
Okay.
Ask you.
Yeah. I think for me now it's just so ingrained. I cannot know that responding to someone like that with ill will or with negativity is just going to backfire. I know that straight away. And so that's reason number one. Reason number two, I do it because I feel bad if I get upset, right? For me, it feels bad. If I can have compassion for that person, I feel good all the time, even while he is saying these things. And thirdly, I think it's true. It is true that that person deserves compassion. Yeah, it is a troubled person. Yeah, you don't do that in an assembly like this unless you have some trouble in your life. There's some deep suffering there. And so that is kind of the ultimate reason why you do it, because it's true. Yeah.
So when it comes to starting that practice on the level, and let's say when you were beginning to become a monk, and developing that capacity and faith, how did you start that journey in the micro where you would be asked to do a talk, for example, for your first talk, and where you had that confidence to speak in front of people, I'd ask.
Right. Okay. So it's just it's a gradual kind of thing, but it basically, a lot of it comes from the teachings of Ajahn Brahmali, obviously, but it comes from the word of the Buddha. And so I've read the word of the Buddha a lot. I've translated from Pali into English. I've done kind of a lot of work with that. And there is so much good information there in how to deal with these kind of things. And one of the suttas in there, it talks precisely about, when someone has bad conduct by body, speech, and mind. Well, we saw speech conduct wasn't great, and then you should have that kind of person. You should regard them as a sick person. Yeah, that's what it says in that sutta. Why are they sick? Because they have there's something mentally wrong with them. There's a problem in the mind. Yeah, and when you regard them as sick, well, then you have sympathy for them. Then you have compassion for them, because that's what we have for sick people. We don't blame sick people for their illness, right? But we have compassion for them instead.
And if I might ask a second and final question, when it comes to our own conduct, in particular of past actions that we've done that were not according to these 7 factors, and forgiving ourselves of these particular sicknesses, as you say, with metta, for example, what is the outlook and attitude that we can have, whether it be from our past wrong speech or wrong action or wrong perspectives of the past to people, and how do you forgive that self of the past, but also view how you've treated other people.
Yeah. So what you do is that you understand that every human being is trapped by their conditioning, trapped by their habits, trapped by their past. It feels like we have free will, it feels like we can navigate our life, but the Buddha says basically that's largely an illusion. We are basically conditioned by the past. And so you, the person you are, and the actions you do, is because of that past. That past may be in this life, it may be in previous lives, it may go a long, long way back. And so very hard to understand all those causes and conditions that work on you. And once you understand that, then you can forgive yourself completely, because you realize, actually, I couldn't have done anything else. These other causes and conditions made me do that, but lo and behold, I found something else. Yay, now I can do that. And then you make a determination, or you try your very best, an aspiration or whatever, to do better in the future. And you kind of move forward. And after a while, those bad actions, they don't trouble you anymore. They become diluted by all the good actions that you do. And after a while, you kind of forget about them completely.
And a final question. How do you give a blessing to that person that you have felt that you have done wrong by, or give them something of gratitude and love?
Go and ask for forgiveness first.
Okay.
And once you have asked for forgiveness, asking for forgiveness is a very beautiful thing to do. Sometimes you can do it even if you are not necessarily all that guilty, because it actually tends to dissolve something, it breaks the ice, because it shows that you are very sincere about moving forward. Go and ask for forgiveness, and bring a little gift as you suggest as well at the same time. It's a nice thing to do. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. By some coincidence, we were just talking about hospitality just before he came in, and you offered him a seat.
Yeah, all right.
So that is hospitality, isn't it?
Hospitality, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
so
absolutely.